Hello patrons, I hope you're all keeping safe and well. For me, it feels like a really long time since I last spoke to you. I think the last time I spoke to you was episode 3 of Becoming Desert Rat, which was only weekend before last, only about 8-9 days ago. But I had to do a work trip down to Perth. Perth is a couple of hour flight away from where I am. Flew down there Wednesday night. I had a couple of days in Perth doing the day job stuff. So I decided to stay for the weekend and hang out with the family. I don't get to see my parents and my brother and sister. I don't get to see them very often. So stayed down in Perth for the weekend. As you'll know, if you watch the 3POA, I was live streaming from my dad's study, or the spare bedroom at his house. But having that trip away, it was good to recharge the batteries. I went out, did a little bit of toy shopping, bought a couple of Marvel Legends. Seems to be a lot of sales on in Perth at the moment, so I picked up like 3 figures or something like that. But having that break, it's made me feel as though it's been a really long time since I've spoken to you guys. And obviously, again, if you watch the 3POA, you'll know that there's been somewhat of a backlash from the last video that we put out on this channel. The backlash not from the audience, but from other YouTube content creators who have gotten really, really upset. I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit. Before I get into that, I would like to discuss my Action Man Emergency Series video. So some time ago, I'd said to you guys that I was, and I'm going back to like, I don't know, September, October last year, where I was talking about wanting to switch gears to much more longer form content, and that you might not be getting videos as frequently, but when the videos drop, they're going to be much bigger videos. And for the most part, that approach to my YouTube channel has worked very, very well. We had a very successful few months there, quite a few months. And now we kind of plateaued and dipped off again. That's what life is like on YouTube. You know, sub growth has slowed, revenue has slowed, views have slowed. I mean, that is coupled with the fact that when I came out with the Action Man Emergency Series video, it took me a long time to make that video. So the channel wasn't putting out much content in between. I think that the only thing that really saved me there was a very kind donation from Embargo97. So I was able to do an unboxing video. You know, those are quite simple to film. And it's great for, you know, a bit of extra content on the channel. So kind of everything slowed down, but back around September, October, when I sort of made this decision to switch to trying to stick to scripted content. Obviously the last video I made, that wasn't a scripted video. I just had a lot of thoughts in my head, and that video about, you know, the way Mattel was approaching YouTube content creators, that video didn't really need scripting. I had all the thoughts in my head. I did have to reshoot a couple of things and then kind of get it all organised in the edit, and out came the video. I actually got home from work the day after. All of the reveals had been announced. I got home from work, I sat down, I filmed the video, edited the video, and put it out in like 3 or 4 hours. The video was uploading as I was kind of going to bed, and I just put it wide straight away. But yeah, so I feel like I'm jumping around a little bit here. So yeah, but back in September, October, this longer form content, one of the videos that I put out was the Action Man Internationals, and the video did very well. I think it's around 39,000 views at the moment. It did really well. And then obviously I did, you know, there was the big Batman feature. I did top 10 G.I. Joe vehicles. There were a lot of videos that were coming out that were doing really, really well in terms of views. In fact, the Action Man Internationals was one of the lower viewed videos, but I'm very, very happy with 39,000 views. But like the Batman video did 61,000. I mean, even going back to the collaboration I did with the guys from Chasing 80s Toys on the Toy Histories of Mars, that video did incredible. That's over 80,000 views now, and they're all doing really well. But I've mentioned to you before, I really wanted to get back to making some Action Man content, and the Action Man Internationals video gave me the confidence to do that. But coupled with that, I started going out and buying some Action Man stuff that was, you know, quite expensive. Obviously, Grace bought me the Electronic Command Center, but I did chip in some money towards that. That video did very well. Then I purchased the very, very expensive fire tender. And that video bombed. It's one of my worst performing videos in the last 6 months. On top of the Action Man video about the dynamic physique, which I was really, really proud of that video because I had uncovered all of this original footage from the Palitoy factory. So I was not only talking about the development of the dynamic physique, I could actually talk you guys through with real visuals from back in the day of the actual manufacturing process of the Action Man Talking Commander. How the thighs were sonically welded together, how they assembled the torso with the voice box in it, how they flocked the hair, how they dressed the figure, packaged the figure, with all of that footage, of course interspersed with some interviews from my Action Man documentary. But some of those interviews, like the interviews with John Holmes and David Mugglestone, I was really able to, I was able to show a lot more of their interview than what I did in the original documentary, because when I made that documentary, 12 years ago, whenever it was, when the guys were talking through the process for flocking the hair and everything, I didn't have the visuals that I could put up on screen to really explain what they were saying. And I remember editing it at the time and being a little disappointed that it just wasn't, without the visuals, it just wasn't working with them talking about the way people applied the Evo stick glue, the epoxy glue, or resin to the head and everything. So I was very, very proud of that video, from the point of the research that went into it, and all of the additional interviews from the original documentary, where I was able to show more of those interviews. It was a fantastic record of Action Man history. And I'm incredibly proud of the Emergency Series video, but for a quite different reason. Of course, there was some, as I always like to do in any kind of Palitoy videos that I make, show you images that have never been seen before. Even back when I made my documentary, I showed images of the prototypes of Brian's bikes. So the racing bike, the scrambler bike, I showed you those. What I never showed in that documentary was the prototype for the police motorcyclist uniform that looked very different to the finished article. So again, there's all this imagery that you guys hadn't seen before. But the reason I was most proud of the Emergency Series video was all of the additional effects and what I considered to be additional production value, which made that a very, very tough video for me to produce. It took a lot longer than normal. But for those people who did watch it, the response from all of you guys here on Patreon and in the YouTube comments section, people were mentioning the added production value, and which is really, really pleasing to hear. But what is very disappointing is that the video bombed. I think right now it's at 4.3 thousand views. That's really, really not good for this channel. And the Dynamic Physique, 4.9 thousand, compared to the Electronic Command Center video that did 66,000. So in my head, I'm like, do people want Action Man videos or don't they? Because they watched the shit out of the Internationals video and the Command Center video, but then they didn't watch these other two videos. Perhaps with the creating the Dynamic Physique, because it was all about the creation of a naked Action Man figure, maybe that wasn't exciting to some people. And then with the Emergency Series, all I can think of is that, as I said in the video, it's a very underappreciated sub-series within the Action Man line. Maybe it's so underappreciated that it prompted people to actually not watch the video. So what does that say for the future of Action Man content on the channel? Well, I'm certainly not going to stop making Action Man content. I've got a few other ideas for a few videos that I have on my to-do list, which gets increasingly longer. I can, for every video idea I get, I'll probably write down 3 or 4 ideas in the time it takes me to get one video out to you guys. So that list is always growing, and I never seem to be able to make all the videos that I've got ideas for. But I really feel as though in the last 4 or 5 months, whenever the Internationals came, when did the Internationals video come out? 3 months ago. That's 4 Action Man videos in 3 months. 2 really well received, 2 not very well received. So I'm going to continue to make Action Man videos, but maybe not quite as frequently. You just don't know. I do have a lot of other stuff planned. I think the next video you're going to see is a bit of a spin on a top 10. Maybe not something you're kind of quite expecting, but I'm going to get a top 10 videos. Always do well for the channel. So, but this is quite an interesting one. This isn't where I'm taking one particular toy line and saying, you know, what I think are the top 10 best action figures or vehicles or whatever it is. This is something a little bit different. This covers kind of all vintage action figures. So I'm doing a bit of a different top 10 there. So that's most likely going to be the video I work on this weekend and hopefully get out to you this weekend. In addition to that, I believe I'm appearing on Articulated Chad this Saturday night, US time, 9 p.m. I need to double check, but I think it's this weekend. It was a while since I spoke to him. But he's been doing a series called his Road to Joe Fest series. He had Bobby Valor on there recently. He had Ed on. Ed is the guy who organises Joe Fest. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's... So Articulated Chad normally streams on a Sunday, which is no good for me because that's Monday morning. But I said to him, if you can move it to a Saturday and do it on an off week from the 3POA, that's why I'm pretty sure it's this weekend. But either way, as soon as I touch base with Chad, as soon as he's got a link available, I will post it here on Patreon so you guys don't miss out. So you know exactly where and when I'm appearing on other channels. I'll always try and post my appearances. I try and do it all the time with 3POA. I know I did forget last weekend. Well, it wasn't exactly that I forgot. I just didn't have time last weekend. I rolled out of bed 35 minutes before the stream went live. So, all right. Now I'm going to get back to some of the reaction to the video that I put out, which was titled "How Toy Companies Bribe YouTube Channels." And I know we talked about this quite a lot on the 3POA the other day. Something happened this week, and I've been contemplating whether to bring this up with you guys because this particular channel, I know a lot of you are a fan of. I've been a fan of the channel since before my channel existed. I thought I was friends with this channel, and I really thought as though I contemplated kind of talking to you about this without mentioning the channel name. But I think that's a bit pointless because a lot of you are going to figure it out, and most likely in the comments section, someone will ask, someone will respond, and then you're all going to know who it is anyway. But one of the reasons I don't want to say it is this channel is quite well loved by a lot of you guys. It's been loved by me for a very, very long time. And I'm very disappointed with what occurred. I don't remember when it occurred. It was earlier this week. Let me think. When was it? This was like last Thursday, I think. And the channel I'm talking about, very unfortunately, is Toy Polloi. Now, Toy Polloi made a social media post. He posted it to Facebook and his YouTube community tab. Potentially he did this on Instagram as well. I didn't look at Instagram, but I'm going to flash this up on the screen and read the comments. Read the post from Toy Polloi. So Toy Polloi posted, as again, this was last Thursday. There is a lot of hate and anger in the toy world and on YouTube again. It doesn't need to be that way. Toys are what you make of them. Just remember that. Cheers. Now, I read that and thought, I had this gut feeling he was talking about me. And I know a lot of you can read that and go, well, he could be talking about anyone. And I agree, he could be talking about anyone. So I went down and read some of the comments under both the YouTube thread and the Facebook thread. Now, in this comment here, Toy Polloi is responding to people in the audience saying, and the question's asked, what are we hating about now? And Toy Polloi responds, channels calling out other channels. So in my mind, That's another hint that he's referring to me. Then again, on Facebook, responding to somebody else, he says, I don't do much on Facebook anymore myself, but the hate seems to be spreading across YouTube now as well. It's very ugly. It's important to take note of the language being used here. Hate, anger, it's ugly. Toy Polloi responding to someone else. And this person, I should have got the screenshot of his comment, was actually referring to me and Analog Toys. But Toy Polloi says, same for me, I have unsubbed from a few channels in recent months because they have lost the spirit of what it's all about for me. Shame. And then responding to another person, I believe this person asked him if this was, to do with the anti-repo crowd. Toy Polloi says, this time it's not Star Wars, the Motu world is in flux. So he's talking about Motu, it's on YouTube, channels calling out other channels. I'm following these breadcrumbs and it's becoming ever evident that he's talking about myself. And this guy here comments, says, how can someone be angry about a toy? If that's the worst that can set someone off, they're very lucky. And Toy Polloi says, I know, but some people don't seem to like how other people get excited about new toys coming out. Weird. Right, at this point, I am 100% certain Toy Polloi is talking about me. And this is a very long-winded way of me getting to my point. If I go back to the original statement here, first of all, Toy Polloi he's deliberately vague booking. So he's accusing someone of coming from a place of hate and anger, but deliberately not calling them out because he's angry at me for calling out other channels, even though I didn't call out other channels in my video, but whatever. That's what he's angry about. So he wants us to know that he's angry about it, but he's not going to do the same thing and not mention me. When you read through the other comments on there, all of his audience know he's talking about me. And if they don't, he clarifies and drops enough hints along the way so that they can figure it out. And I'm really disappointed because I've been nothing but supportive of that channel since before my channel even existed. I thought I was friends with Dave from Toy Polloi. I have given him frequent shout outs over the years on YouTube. Me, him and Michael all came together for what we called the Toy Trinity live stream in the first Iconicon, because over the years everyone is when people talk about my channel in social media, they talk about Analog Toys, Retro Blasting, Toy Polloi. Those three channels were always talked about in these same circles. And I have suspected for some time that there was something going on with Toy Polloi, and I could never quite figure out what it was, because we invited him to the first Iconicon. He appeared on more than one stream, but he did a really successful stream with me and Michael. And then the following year, we invited him back again. And he, at the time, respectfully declined because he had some stuff going on in his personal life, which was fair enough. But then he was appearing on other live streams around the time of Iconicon. So it made me feel as though his excuse was kind of... I just got the feeling he didn't want to be part of Iconicon anymore, and wasn't really. Well, I went back through my messages, and the last interaction I had with Toy Polloi was in late 2021, so we didn't even speak last year. And the last time he spoke to me, he was asking me a favour. He wanted to replicate the stickers that went on the late issue Action Man dog tags. And did I have any of those in my collection that I could take photos of? And I took photos. I didn't have there's 4 different ones, I think. I had 3 of them in my collection, so I took high quality photos and sent them on. But I'm really, really disappointed in Toy Polloi here, because he makes this social media post and he's trying to say to the audience, it doesn't need to be that way. Toys are what you make of them. Just remember that. Cheers. And this is these positive people that I often talk about, who are actually some of the worst in the community, because labeling me with hate and anger and ugliness. That is just blatantly not true. That is a deliberate manipulation spoken in a public forum behind a thinly veiled attempt at vague booking. If you're such a positive person, you may disagree with what I'm saying, but you don't go out there publicly and going, this person's full of hate and anger. There's no hate and anger. There was no hate and anger coming from me in that video that I posted last week. And to be perfectly honest, I don't have any feelings of hate and anger towards anybody or anything in toy collecting. Yes, I'm very critical of things and I'm quite outspoken, but I don't come from a place of hate and anger. And that's what these false positives like to say about anyone who has an opinion they disagree with, whether you disagree about the toys or the content you put out or whatever. They try to tell you that doesn't need to be that way, you know, be positive, it's all about being positive. And at the same time, they're being super negative by going, that person's full of hate, anger and ugliness. Now, I hope I don't lose any patrons over this. But I've been thinking about this for 2 days, whether I should make this video. I'm certainly not going to put this video. I don't want to talk about this publicly. I don't think what Toy Polloi did really deserves that. But, you know, you guys here, I always want to be open, honest and transparent with you and, you know, give you a peek behind the curtain. I feel as though I can say this to you guys and you'll understand that I'm not telling anyone to turn on Toy Polloi. I'm not telling them to stop watching. I'm probably still going to keep watching certain Toy Polloi videos because when I need a restoration tip, there's no better resource when it comes to toy restoration than Toy Polloi. But at the same time, I really want you guys to understand where I'm coming from. And you know, one of the things I was so disappointed about with Toy Polloi is I've been in his corner for years about the whole anti-repro stuff, and he's been attacked several times where people have made claims about him that just aren't true. And now here he is making false claims about me. Hate, anger, ugliness. Very, very, very powerful words. And I'm very disappointed that Toy Polloi chose to use those words to speak to me and about my channel as someone who, up until I saw this post the other day, I thought I was still a friend of that channel. Now, as I said, I will be very disappointed if I lose patrons over this. But if I do, then understand that I've seen so many people over the years, and I don't think that you guys here on Patreon are these types of people. Otherwise you wouldn't be a patron of this channel. You're the people who really get me and get what I'm about and understand where I'm coming from. And, you know, all the way back when I did the Michael Mercy video, I thought I was going to lose. I did lose some patrons, but I thought I was going to lose a lot more patrons. And you guys, you know, you proved just how open you guys were to it. So for anyone who, you know, if you want to delete your patronage from my channel because of this video and what I'm saying about Toy Polloi, because you'd rather not hear it, then okay, fair enough. But as Rocky Balboa once said, the world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. And if you prefer not to know about this stuff, then don't come on a Patreon where I'm really open and honest with everybody, and I will talk about this inside stuff. If you want to stay plugged into the Matrix rather than, you know, take whichever coloured pill it was and follow Morpheus, then stay plugged into the Matrix. I don't expect anyone to be plugged into the Matrix when they're here on this Patreon. So kind of that's the way I view it. So yeah, I'm really disappointed in Toy Polloi, but it is what it is. What can you do? I've said all I want to say about that. I'm going to be moving on to other things. I need to keep working on this script for this special kind of top 10 video that I'm working on, and I've been toying with an idea. Actually, before I wrap this video up, I'm going to discuss this with you guys. I've been toying with this new idea of a like a sub series of shorter videos. And again, I'm going to, you know, I've spoken often over the years about how heavily this channel has been inspired by retro blasting, very blatantly inspired by retro blasting. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery, is the way I say it to Michael French. And just lately, I've been heavily inspired by Articulated Ninja, which is why you're seeing, you know, the production levels going up on videos with lighting and flame effects and things. You know, that's a direct inspiration from Articulated Ninja. You guys know that I'm a big fan of the Leicester Vintage Toy Shop channel, the Toy Shop and Tour Show. Lately, they've been dropping these shorter videos of Joe and Gav in a cafe where they just pick out like one toy from childhood. And I was like, you know, that's a really great idea for a shorter series of videos where I can just kind of, and what I was thinking of doing is picking a toy from my childhood. Of course, most likely, in most cases, it's not going to be the actual toy I had from childhood. It'll be one that I lost and have since replaced. But doing like a 5 to 8 minute video, but I wanted to have it in a very different setting, and I don't want to film it in this studio. It's to me, it's kind of like the kind of video that I would like to like sit down by a fireplace, and I don't have I live in a really hot area. I don't have a fireplace here. So let me know if that's something that you guys would like to see, where I kind of just sit down with, I pick a toy, and really talk about my childhood memories of that toy. What I was thinking is most likely that series might not kick off until the end of the year, when I actually move back down to Perth, into a new house where I'm going to be building a brand new studio for Analog Toys. And I may have an area set up just for that. But let me know your thoughts. It'll be, you know, Analog Toys Childhood Memories or something like that. You know, I'm sure I'll come up with a better name for the series than that. But I'm thinking, you know, they don't need to be scripted videos. I can just kind of sit down and talk about my childhood memories, and it might be a 5 or 6 minute video that I can put out on a regular cadence. You know, every other Friday or something like that, you'll get this short video that will come out. So let me know what you think about that. And that's pretty much it. I'm sorry if you felt like I didn't need to discuss this, but I really do need to discuss this. This whole thing with Toy Polloi, because when these people pretend to be positive, but then are deliberately manipulating their audience and actually making claims that are just blatantly not true to try and paint me in a bad light, I'm going to speak up. And as I said, I don't want to create an online war or rift between myself and Toy Polloi, but I really felt like you guys here on Patreon needed to know my thoughts on the subject, because I know I've spoken to one or two of you, and when I did reach out to those people, they actually, because I saw this like 14-15 hours after it had been posted, and when I reached out to a couple of my friends who are here on Patreon, they both said to me, yeah, I saw that. And I knew he was talking about you, and they were pretty disappointed as well. So I'm like, if some of you know, potentially more of you know, and maybe you wanted me to weigh in on it. But as I said, if you'd rather not hear that stuff, then perhaps the Analog Toys Patreon is not the place for you. Maybe you just go and watch the normal videos on YouTube. I do sincerely appreciate everyone who continues to support me and this channel through the Patreon, But if you just want to support the channel by watching the YouTube videos, you're more than welcome to do that as well. No hard feelings. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to get this video edited and uploaded, and then I've got dinner and unfortunately a few more days in the day job before I can get back to making some toy videos for you. So, all right, take care for you now, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.